We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
All right, let's get this started. Reaching out to the four corners of the globe and broadcasting to you live from the studios of LA Talk Live in beautiful, sunny Los Angeles, California. And what a day it is. Broadcasting to you from the studios of LA Talk Live in the beautiful Paradise Building just outside of LAX. Man, what an incredible show we've got lined up for you today. I will not be on camera because tonight I'm not important. I've got some incredible musical artists in our studio live tonight on tonight's episode of Speak On It, Say It, Own It, Believe It. I've got the truth in the house when it comes to the music, so you'll want to stay tuned. I won't even tell you who the guests are. I know you can see them already. I wish that I could be on camera so I could tease you before we go to the break, but you see them already. If you know, then you know. But when we come back, I'm going to give them an official introduction. I'm Richard Carr, your humble host. This is Speak On It, a very special musical episode thereof. Do not go away. We'll be back. We're going to pay some bills. Very special episode. Tell your friends, latalklive.com. That's all you got to do. We'll be right back.
Is the motivation that is hanging up the goddamn nation. Looks like we always end up in a rut. Everybody now trying to make it real compared to what? Come on, baby.
Women now make up 37% of the workforce, changing their role forever.
Harvard Medical School has now opened its doors to new female applicants.
The first woman is now in space.
The majority of last year's doctorate degrees were earned by women.
We've come so far, but our news is changing for the worse. More women die from heart disease and stroke than men, even though it can be prevented. Make a change at GoRedForWomen.org today. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the American Heart Association's Go Red for Women.
Do you or does someone you know have sickle cell disease? Have you heard about the EPIC study? It's an international research study evaluating an investigational drug aimed at shortening the duration of painful crisis. And with over 50 sites in the US, there may be a site near you. To learn more and to find out if the EPIC study is right for you, visit www.theepicstudy.com.
NOMA, the National Organization of Minority Architects Youth Summer Camp, consists of field trips to iconic architectural complexes. Join us for 3 days of hands-on building design learning experiences. To register, go to SoCalNOMA.org. That's SoCalNOMA.org.
Exactly 25 years ago, the United States welcomed 54 million individuals with disabilities into the workforce. And today, even more opportunities exist.
Hi, my name is Danjamar Cooper, and I specialize in job placement for individuals with disabilities. I advise on laws, employee rights, and regulations for disabled workers. Meet Rick and Amber Boggs, a visually impaired couple who don't allow their disability to overcome their drive to create jobs for the community.
Danjuma has been an integral part of our business success, and I believe he is an asset to any business or individual.
Together we can empower your community and enrich your business. So remember, when it comes to making your business work, make the change today. The Disability Awareness Experts.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a very, very special episode of Speak On It tonight. We've got some incredible artists in the studio, but in the meantime and in the between time, in the background, the sounds of the inimitable Carmen Lundy, one of my favorite songs. We're going to be talking to her straight ahead, but I wanted to set the table before we get our show started tonight, because we've also got another incredible artist. One of the featured artists on our artist development program, Mr. Kebade Brown, joins us live in the studio as well.
Right.
It's going to go deep when it comes to the music tonight. As many of you know, I am a musicologist. Blame Edna, my mother. When I was a little boy, a preteen in fact, my mother would go each and every week to the supermarket, and she would buy the groceries, and I'm not ashamed to say, she would also stop at the liquor store and get her and my father a little fifth of some Seagram 7 or VO, you know, what they used to drink back in them days. But before we went home, we would always stop at the record store, and she would always buy 45s. Jimi Hendrix with Buddy Miles, all those great days of incredible music. And that helped grow my base of music and my appreciation for it. But I remember being a little boy looking at those albums and listening to the artist and never imagining myself that I would ever have a chance to meet them. The reason tonight is so special to me is because the young lady that you see on camera with me tonight, and the music that's playing in the background, is someone I never thought I'd have a chance to meet. Excuse me. I knew that I was going to break down tonight because her music moves me so deeply, and to have her live in our studio, I'm very humble. So let us put our hands together. I apologize to all of you for the inimitable, amazing Carmen Lundy.
Hello. Hey, man. Thanks for inviting me. It's great to be here.
I apologize.
Share this table with so many beautiful people.
I apologize. I knew it was going to happen, but I'm so moved by your music. I'm glad I played this one, because if I had played the one I wanted to play coming back, I'd have been in full ball-out mode. Yeah. Miss Carmen Lundy, born in Miami, Florida, began singing at 6 or studying the piano. And, you know, off camera before the show, we talked about, or I heard you talking to our other guest tonight, about how learning to make transitions between instruments, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on in the show as well, because I wanted to tune out of that conversation so I could be intrigued by it when you guys talk about it again. But in '78, you went to New York. Thad Jones, Mel Lewis, incredible names, their jazz orchestra. The Village Vanguard, I passed by to, you know, tried to get in a couple times because I loved Greenwich Village back in them days. I'm from Philly. I'd always have fun going up to New York. I won't bore people with me rambling on about your career. You're here. You're here in front of me. I've composed myself now. I've got lots of interesting questions to ask you, and some of your incredible music to feature tonight. Once again, I want to thank you for gracing our studio. As once again, my audience wants to give you another round of applause.
Thank you.
Now, again, you know, with all due respect, we've also got another artist in the studio with us tonight. Again, one of our featured artists in our artist development program. His name is Kebade Brown. He likes to go by Kebade Brown. Welcome him to the mic as well. He's down there holding down the other end of our dais. He's going to help me as a layperson, as a non-musician, and many times as I co-hosted the Jerry Bell Soul R&B Classic Show. Jerry Bell from Daz Band and New Birth reminded me, don't sing because I can't hold a note in a paper bag. So But Kebade is here as well, and again, we've got professionals in the studio today, and I want to talk about the music and the concept of musicology. We've also got the very lovely and very gracious Miss Elizabeth Wee, who put all this together. You know, it was all on a whim that I was on the web and listening to some of Carmen's music one night, and I said, I wonder what she's doing. I wonder if I can reach out to them. I wonder if there's any possibility to get her in the studio, and it was Elizabeth Wee who put that together for us, so thank you for joining us as well. And you are, in fact, the founder of a record label and a record company that is now publishing, distributing, getting the music out of the incredible, fantabulous Carmen Lundy.
Exactly, my honor.
Oh, man. Miss Lundy, I got to tell you, I almost don't want to call you Carmen. I don't feel worthy. But I want to start with you, and I want to start about your career. And again, I don't want to bore people with these bios you pull from the web. Let's talk about the real Carmen Lundy and how it all got started for you.
Well, I can remember being you talk about being a little boy and how those special memories of your mom and those, just taking the trip to the record store. And I have very special memories of watching my mother. Well, my grandfather played guitar in the church, and, being as so many people of color in this country anyway, we just, our early starts began, in the church. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
The church was the real deal in terms of just a place where you really were free to express yourself. They didn't let us know that. They didn't announce, okay, everybody's free to say whatever you want to say. But when the music played, okay, it was on, and I watched my aunt sit down at that piano. But then my church was kind of like the piano was one end of the pulpit and the organ was on the other end of the pulpit. So that's the way it was for us, right? And I didn't know from one Sunday to the next which one my aunt was going to be on. She was going to start off on the organ. I didn't even know. I never saw even transition. She was there. And so I have an aunt who's 74 years old who's still playing at that same church and turning it out.
Really?
And it will get in the car and drive 300, 400 miles to play some music somewhere else in another church in another state. She just did that last weekend.
In other words, she's still gigging.
And the more I talk about this, the more I realize what a powerful influence she was. You asked me earlier who my favorites, nobody knows E.T. Miller, but that's my aunt. My mother was the lead singer in that same group my aunt used to throw down. So my mother sang. My aunt sang. She played the piano. My grandfather played the guitar. It was that was like normal family life to me. So those are the earliest beginnings for me. I think at some point I began to pick up tunes on the piano, and my mother noticed that somewhere now I was trying to copy what Auntie Teresa was doing or whatever. So she arranged for me to take piano lessons, and I was around 6 years old. And I would go to these lessons and get my little lesson from the, and then I would just I wasn't even looking at the music. I was just listening to what she played and copy what she was playing by my listening. We called it by ear. I called it by air. The older I got, I called it by air. Just It was in the air, and I could pick it up. So those were the earliest. I think those memories are still really part of me and always will be. The whole singing thing was, I think at some point I thought, if I learn these tunes that my mother's group was singing, maybe I'll join that group, and that was my goal. I just, at 7 years old, I was like, I want to be in that group. So I'm learning everything, and you take that note, and that's your note. No, that kind of stuff. So I think the singing occurred along the way, but I was already playing piano and playing for the kids in school and that kind of thing. And I think it was around the time that I became double digits that I got very serious about it. And I kind of figured out real early on, this is what I want to do with my life. So when I got serious about it, I went all the way. I just delved all the way in it. So playing the records, listen to the records, all of the music, any kind of music. Meanwhile, jazz was not a word spoken in my childhood. I just didn't hear jazz music. If I did, I didn't associate it with being jazz. It was just some other song, And the jazz happened as a result of playing the piano for all these other people. And somebody came along to play piano for my chorus that I was in high school, and he just had an interesting way about it. When he played C major, it was like some other beautiful sounds. And I was like, what is that? What are you playing? How do you get that chord? Show me that. Show me that. Show me that again. And that's when it happened for me. And when he realized that there was, as kids, when he realized that I was as interested in what he was throwing down, we became really close friends, and he introduced me to everybody. At that time, I'm 16 years old, but that's where I discovered Miles, Bill Evans, Cannonball, Herbie. It was like the early 70s. I graduated high school in 72. So this was around 1970, 71. And Aretha was already the bee's knees. Motown was happening. Jazz was sort of like, what's that? It was still very curious because it wasn't in my home, so I couldn't go home and say, well, who's John Coltrane? I couldn't ask my father or mother
Ella
about
Fitzgerald,
that.
maybe?
No.
Didn't know nothing about it.
Nothing.
Okay.
I mean, nothing. I think my earliest visual connection is watching Ed Sullivan and seeing Barbara McNair was the first sister I ever saw on television. Barbara McNair, okay? So for me, this whole time, and I think Roberta Flack had just released First Take. We just listened to the Les McCann thing. She did a version of that on First Take. So now all this is happening, and Donny Hathaway wrote this tune called Trying Times. It was on Roberta's record. So that's the first tune I ever sang by myself. It was Trying Times.
And to yourself?
No, by myself with somebody playing piano for me, because I was playing for myself.
Did you perform it?
Yes. One of those high school
okay.
talent shows or whatever. But I was like, I didn't even realize I was singing the blues. I didn't know that Trying Times was a blues. I just loved that tune. Right. So that whole that era for me of developing this, okay, I don't have to sound like Aretha, and I might be able to make a career out of this, because Roberta was like cool. There was something about Roberta that was cool, that if you really travel down her path, you'll hear Carmen McRae. Bang! There's Carmen McRae sitting right there, showing her how it goes. So now I'm like, what about the singers? What about the singers? I'm, Coltrane, Miles, Herbie, where are the singers? Still didn't know. Nothing. So now I'm a college student. I go to enter the University of Miami as an opera major. Sounds good to me. I knew I didn't want to necessarily become an education major, because that meant teaching. And I knew I wanted to be on the stage. So I went for that major, and the same guy that hit me to all those great players was in the jazz department upstairs.
Wow.
And that's the way it happened for me. This one person and his interest, and it's just, now there's a jazz department? So that the kids upstairs in the jazz department say, hey, Carmen, I got this tune I wrote for my class for my assignment. Will you sing this tune for me? And I'm on the other side singing the classical stuff and doing the Italian arias. Every singer who's ever studied any kind of opera or whatever knows about that yellow book. That's the Italian, you got to sing those arias. You have to if you want to, graduate. So here I am, my classical chop, and I'm really thankful for that, by the way. I'm thankful for those classical chops and that training. But, they're like, hey, Carmen, can you sing? And I could hear my own voice. I could hear myself when I sang those songs that my friend just wrote. So I think my early beginnings are a result of just maybe being in the right place at the right time, having already fallen in love with the music, and believing that I had something special. And it made me feel good. Besides, it made me feel like I could do something special. And all of those combined things produced a career for me. It was really just that I'm giving you a really synopsis of those early years for me. But those combination of ingredients produced this belief that I could make a career.
And an amazing career you have as well. I want to go back to the opera part of your background, because there is something about your voice. I'm a big Aretha Franklin fan as well. I'm a big Betty Davis fan. Miles' first wife, right? I love female vocalists, but your voice doesn't put me in the mindset of any of those. It has this power and resonance that speaks to your experience singing opera. I want to give the audience another little taste of this. This is another one of my faves by you, if you don't mind. So we're going to give this a listen, and I just want people to listen to the voice. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
You never hold me like before. I never feel your touch anymore. We never kiss or share a smile, not even for a little while. You say you love me now and then. You're happier than you've ever been. Somehow the words just don't ring true. It hurts to think I'm losing you. What do nothing, it seems, is pleasing you. It's never enough. I'm always to blame. One thing is clear, you're not the same. You're not in love.
Yeah, in the background, the soulful, jazzy sounds of the wonderful Miss Carmen Lundy. So, man, that's one you kind of forgot, ain't it? Got the hairs on the back of that neck standing up.
That's unforgettable.
What you doing a little later tonight? Maybe I can romance you a little bit more with some of your own music. All right, so that's Carmen Lundy again, one of my faves by you, man. It was this song and the night that I heard this for the first time, which is when I reached out to Elizabeth, because I'm familiar with the first album, and I kind of lost, contact with the music and how you get down. So I'm just pulling up some music. I'm like, well, let me check out some of the other songs I haven't heard by her. And this one, man, wow, that hit me. And so, I'm an amateur. Again, I got to speak from a lay perspective, and that is this. The way that your voice dances across the instruments and the lyrics, it's almost, I can see it in my head, just your amazing voice just dancing across, the vision of what I see in sound in this. But how deep and resonant that voice is, man, it's just amazing to me. So again, the opera part I hear now, I got it now, I get it. Mm-hmm. What does this song make you think of? Think about it.
The inspiration for writing it.
Speak to that.
The inspiration?
Can you? I went to it too, Mama. I did. That
you want
day.
me to talk about that?
Nope, you don't
sure?
have to.
Okay.
Yeah, no, listen, we could commensurate, because when I heard this that night, it's like, wow, she's hitting all of those spots with this one here. And let's talk about the musicians who played on this.
Oh yeah, the minute I heard that intro, I was like, dang. Omar Hakim on drums, Victor Bailey on bass, Harry Whittaker on piano with Billy Childs doing some of the colors. Just to start, that was Randy Brecker on the trumpet.
From the Brecker Brothers.
Yeah,
wow.
The trumpeter. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Can I get this a little bit more?
Current album too.
Can we get a little taste of this? Hold on.
Can't it be like it was before? You're not in love. No, you're not. Sometimes I wonder.
All right, that's enough of that. We're not trying to take you too far back with that one, because that's
I like that
beautiful.
Too.
Yeah, isn't that right?
Awesome. Thank you.
You gotta love it, yeah. And we've got some more of your music we're going to be featuring, and of course, again, we've got the great Kebade Brown on the dais with us tonight. So, Kebade, let's get you on the mic with us, man. And
all right,
how's that song make you feel, man?
Awesome. I'm a jazz man, and Carmen McRae and all of those deep Sarah Vaughan. I got a chance to spend time with those ladies, and that brings the same kind of energy to me, and I feel like I'm doing something up here. You know what I mean? Listening to you play. So it's wonderful.
Indeed. So, ladies and gentlemen, once more, that's Carmen Lundy. You're Not in Love. We've got some other great music we're going to be featuring from Miss Lundy tonight. What are you doing these days? Because I got some pictures of you, man. I see you still up there gigging Still out there performing.
Wow, there's a lot of gigs starting. I've been writing for the last 8 weeks or more. I've just been cranking. I mean, one tune.
Does it pour out of you that easily?
Like, no.
Okay.
It's it's work. It's work. It's great when something just like pops out. You're like, yeah. But sometimes you got to get in there and crank and scratch and, take yourself through every kind of machination of an idea just to come up with something. And that's what I've been doing lately. But we're preparing for a series of concerts. The first one, I'm headed to the Richmond Jazz Festival. I think Macy Gray still is on that one, and Natalie Cole. So it's a big one in Richmond, and that one is August 7th and 8th. I have two concerts, 8 and 9. Thank you, Elizabeth. And then after that, I do New York. I'll be playing Dizzy's at Lincoln Center in New York. And then after that, we could do the Detroit Jazz Festival, and that's on Labor Day.
Did you say Detroit?
Yes, Detroit Jazz Festival.
Detroit in the house tonight. We got Mr. Mike Bond joining us. He's one of our station supporters and fans and what have you. So Detroit's in the house.
Taking the band with Patrice Rushen on piano.
Oh, no,
Jameson
really?
Ross is on drums. And Kenny Davis will be playing the bass on these dates that I've just mentioned to you.
And Andrew Renfro.
Andrew Renfro on guitar. Young, beautiful cat originally from Jupiter, Florida, who's spent some time with Jackie McLean's Institute in Hartford, and now he's at Juilliard. Beautiful, beautiful guitarist. So we're going into these dates, and then after that I head to Europe for, I think in between I have a hit here in L.A., in Watts at their jazz festival.
Oh, yeah,
and I'll be
definitely.
doing that, and I think the following night we might be doing something in town to celebrate the release of the LP of the Soul to Soul issue.
And that's the
Elizabeth
new
can tell you
LP,
more about that.
Finally.
So yeah, then we go to Europe, playing Helsinki, Istanbul, Milano, the Blue Note in Milano, and Graz, Austria. So we're getting ready to go into Europe. So we got all these, stateside gigs, which is yay, stateside. For jazz artists, that's always cool to play stateside.
I got choked up at the beginning of the show because when we came back from that first break, because I'm just so enamored by you, your music, the way that your music has touched me in those moments. Like we talked about this before the show, how as a consumer of the music, as a person who loves music and loves yours in particular, I find it's difficult sometimes for the artist to find where we're at on the other side of those speakers, as I said, meaning that we have our own space with your sound. And that space for us is seldom visited by the artist just because you make the music and you keep writing, whereas we live in those spaces, like the song I played, Coming Back, My Favorite Things. Believe it or not, that was the one song I knew on my little saxophone that I could play rote. I couldn't read no notes and nothing like that, but I knew it, from my head. So maybe I should have kept playing. But on this side of the music, on this side of the speaker, where the listener, where the musicologist, where the music lover lives, that's a very special space for us. When I looked you up, it was again just reaching out on a whim, believing that maybe we could talk by phone. I'm so enamored to have you, so happy to have you here in the studio. But more importantly, once I started communicating with Elizabeth, she made me keenly aware as to how busy you have been keeping over all these years. And as I spoke earlier when we opened the show about my experience as a little boy going to the record store and then getting that record and looking at that album and imagining one day meeting that artist, who you idolize and stuff like that. Same process I went through. But the whole idea of you being so busy and staying so relevant and current, it struck me because so many artists are making comebacks, but they're having a difficult time touring and staying relevant. And as I understand it, I bet this is probably dated. You composed how many songs?
Over 100.
Wow.
And it's funny that as you speak of this, I realize that I've never really not been doing this. So from the time I began my professional career at the age of 17, 18 years old, and with my own bands and playing Miami, and then all of that time. And
it's about 10 years ago, right?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, exactly. To be exact.
I knew. I can count.
But I realized that, I have never not been doing this. So when I got to New York with this dream, it really was a dream, you know, and my brother, great bassist Curtis Lundy. We were doing gigs prior to my moving to New York. And then to do this whole thing in New York and find some kind of a way to do jazz in New York for all those years. And to start making records, all of this. So I think that the true journey of the artist is part of it is the stick-to-itiveness, that you really have to be willing
never give up
to really take that leap of faith in your work and in the fact that you got something to say. And I'm encouraged by that. I'm encouraged by the fact that I look up and I'm still talking to you about my next gig and stuff, you know. Touring, this whole reality, the glamorous part is when you look back on it and you say, whoa, we actually did that, you know. But there's a lot of our people on your side see the glamorous, kind of like the end result. But let me tell you, there's a lot of dedication, and the people like Elizabeth who believe in you, who stick with you and help you to get that music out there. There are a lot of people along the way, and that's what I want to tell the audience. When you have a dream, when you really want to pursue a dream, just go for it, because when you do that, the people are, how shall I say this, they'll come along and assist you in that journey. There will always be someone that will enter your realm to assist you in realizing your dream. So the point is to just go for it, and don't worry about how am I going to do this and what's going to, and how much is going to, just commit. And I think that's what opens up and creates this universal support system.
You're absolutely right. At least I can speak from my lay perspective and as the consumer and a music lover. It's interesting because when you talk about the longevity of the journey and the stick-to-itness, is that along that path for you, we line it. We line that path. We stand there and watch you along that long journey, and you become for us this comfortable place to come back to because your music is still here, still in print, accessible. Thank God for the internet. It does help expose a lot of stuff, but even though the path is long, to be able to come back to you, my sister, is such a beautiful thing. All right, so listen, we're going to take a quick break and come back. We've got Elizabeth Wee, who we have not heard from yet, but I want to spend the next half hour. We put a lot of weight on the shoulders of the lovely Carmen Lundy. We're going to talk to Kebade Brown right now, and then in the final part of the show, we're going to bring Elizabeth on, and we're going to talk about the music, where it is today, how y'all feel about it. Do you hate it? Do you love it? I know it's a lot of nonsense out there. We'll clean it up when we come back a little later on in the show. Stay tuned. It's Speak On It. I'm Richard Carr. The amazing Carmen Lundy, the unbelievable Kebade Brown is in the studio. We're going to hear from him right after this break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
As we hold hands together without the chains that bind us to keep us down, and as we walk and break bread together, and so thankful that we made it through another storm.
Thank you for tuning in to LA Talk Live, reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we're more than just talk. Stay tuned.
It started out like a totally normal day.
I love you.
I mean, I guess I was a little sweaty and I was definitely sore. I thought I had gas. Turns out I was having a heart attack. Heart disease is the #1 killer of American women. So now I take care of myself and tell the other women in my life to do the same. Make it your mission to save your life and the lives of the women you love. Find out more from the American Heart Association at goredforwomen.org.
Do you or does someone you know have sickle cell disease? Have you heard about the EPIC study? It's an international research study evaluating an investigational drug aimed at shortening the duration of painful crisis. And with over 50 sites in the US, there may be a site near you. To learn more and to find out if the EPIC study is right for you, Visit www.theepicstudy.com.
I lost 4.5 inches on my waist. I went down 2 loops on my belt. I've lost 10 pounds.
Hi, I'm Michael Carson, America's Fitness Coach. Here to teach you how to burn body fat with every meal in only seconds a day. Fit in Seconds is a video workout program designed to accelerate your metabolism, resulting in burning fat with every meal. My Fit in Seconds video workouts will train your metabolism to use food as fuel, not as storage.
With Fit in Seconds, I lost 27 pounds and 5 inches off my waistline.
It's time to get fit in seconds.
NOMA, the organization of my Architects Youth Summer Camp, consists of field trips to iconic architectural complexes. Join us for 3 days of hands-on building design learning experiences. To register, SoCalNOMA.org. That's SoCalNOMA.org.
And today, even more opportunities exist. Hi. Exactly 25 years ago, the United States welcomed 54 million individuals with disabilities into the workforce. And today, even more opportunities exist.
Hi, my name is Danjamar Cooper, and I specialize in job placement for individuals with disabilities. I advise on laws, employee rights, and regulations for disabled workers. Meet Rick and Amber Boggs, a visually impaired couple who don't allow their disability to overcome their drive to create jobs for the community.
Dan Juma has been an integral part of our business success, and I believe he is an asset to any business or individual.
Together we can empower your community and enrich your business. So remember, when it comes to making your business work, make the change today. The Disability Awareness Experts.
The wise man embraces Jack. Three kind of people in this world. He that believeth in the Lord shall find happiness and be blessed. He that straddles the line will find calamity all the time. He that makes up lies and believes them himself will never find his true wealth. No. Growing in God is not an easy task when the devil hides behind the mask. It's never too late to find Jack, except for when you're gone. Yeah. Don't wait till your time is up and you still down on your luck. No, the time is now, so you can still wear Jack crown. Yeah, who is on the Lord's side? Stand and be accounted for. Three kind of people in this world. Hey, yeah, you got the believer, the non-believer, which one are you? Search deep inside and you'll find the truth.
Yeah! Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to tonight's special episode of Speak on It. Yeah! Think.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the show. In the background, the sounds of Kebade Brown. Three kind of people in the world sin.
Yeah.
And we've got Kebade who joins us here. He's been real quiet for the first portion of the show as we featured the wonderful sounds of Miss Carmen Lundy. We're going to switch it up a little bit now and take it roots and culture style sin. And this is Kebade Brown in the background, one of his newest cuts and one of our featured artists on our artist development program. And Kebade, man, I be working with the music and putting it up on the site and getting all that stuff going, man, for the artist development program. And I put this up in rotation, and I went to the back end of the site to do all the other album art and metadata stuff. Mm-hmm. And this was playing in the background. I'm like, is that somebody I know? And I'm like, man, that's my man Kebade Brown. I had to look at the screen. I'm like, whoa, this is a really hot track. Because I only got a chance to just taste it, sample it a little bit when you first brought it in. But once it went in rotation, man, this is, again, one of my faves. And I'm a very diversified musicologist. I love all types of music. Jazz, #1, reggae, #1. Mm-hmm. Man, I love it all. And again, I told you when we started the station, I was every DJ. So on the weekends, Saturday mornings from 9 to noon, I would play Ross rhythms and call myself Ross once and play some good, sweet reggae music, in fact. And I love this, man. Kebade Brown, long, rich history in the music industry. I looked you up, man.
It's something, huh?
You worked with a lot of folks there, brother.
I know.
So let's get you on the mic. Tell our listeners a little bit about yourself.
Well, I was actually telling Carmen behind this, when we were in a break, that her career parallels mine and so close, it's just not even funny.
Stay close to that mic for me, please.
Oh, it's not even funny that we're so close musically, because I walked in, I'm from Louisville, Kentucky.
Home of the Louisville Slugger. I got one.
Oh, yeah, me too. And when I would play with it, I thought I was extra special, too, because I had a Louisville and Muhammad Ali. My parents all know Muhammad Ali, so it's always been such a pleasure to be a part of Muhammad Ali's world, parallel with my world. And we were visiting my uncles and my grandmother, and I walked in, and they had their band playing, and they were playing honky tonk. They're just playing the blues up a storm, and I'm like, whoa, you guys are getting down. So I'm just like 6 years old, and I'm sitting here listening to them.
Is that number?
And they're
6?
playing, and they just going, and then, so after they finish and the band packs up and everything, my uncle said, you like that? And I was like, yeah, I like that. And he said, you want to learn how to play? And I said, yeah. And so he sat down at that moment and showed me how to play the honky tonk blues, and I was 6 years old, and from that day that I put my finger on that guitar, I've been hooked, you know what I mean? So I got back home, I said, Mom, I want to learn how to play music. Now see, my mother, she plays piano and she sings. My grandmother plays the piano. My 2 uncles play guitar. My other aunt, she was a drum major. My other aunt is a ink spot. I don't know if you guys ever heard of the ink spot. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean? Yeah,
Good night,
Daisy Banks.
sweetheart. Well,
Yeah.
it's time
Oh man, and she
to
was
go.
beautiful too. She's very beautiful. She's passed away since then, but so the music heritage in my family is real rich. But when you're just younger, you don't understand. I understand
Take it for
now.
granted a bit,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, but and so that's why how I'm still in the game all the way up to this point. So it seemed like when I was 6 years old, I was getting a whooping every day. I was like, what did I do wrong this time? What did I do wrong this time? Golly, I think my mother's just picking on me. Maybe, you're a little kid and she's just trying to give you discipline or whatever. So some of this behavior carried over into the classroom a little bit, and then so the principal's call and everything. So one of my teachers said, he seems like he's really interested in music, you know what I mean? And maybe we can get him in a music class, and maybe that might help him. And so they put me in the music class. I should have been in there anyway, from the very beginning. We're talking about the 7th grade, you know what I mean? And they put me in, they put me in the music, and my whole life turned around, So I remember reading my little reports. It said in the 8th grade, he's doing so well in class now and in music, we might as well leave him in there, and it just carried all the way till now.
Kebade, talk about some of the artists you've worked with over your career.
Oh man, I've had a chance to play with so many great artists, even if I'm just in the same room in the same presence and having the opportunity to share music with them, that it's just all part of a great enrichment in my life and in my musical world. But I've got a chance to hang with Quincy and play with him and sing with him on TV and Arsenio Hall's show, and I've taken lessons and did computer work and everything with Herbie Hancock, because she was mentioning Herbie. I've
and the computer part of the Herbie Hancock connection is really how Herbie revolutionized music by digitizing.
That's
music.
right. Absolutely. And that's what we did with him, and that's where I got a lot of lessons from Herbie in sequencing. I got lessons from Stevie Wonder in sequencing. Stevie Wonder actually is the one that got us going. And sequencing and doing music. And I'm sort of a behind the scenes, but on the scenes, almost like right parallel with NWA and Dr. Dre and Ice Cube and all them and Lonzo, because I played as a musician with them in the computer as far as in the hip hop world.
Right.
And NWA and Easy and all of them, they were first, no doubt about it. Dr. Dre. But then we came along right in that same vein with them and went on tour with the World Class Wrecking Crew and played with all the hip-hop guys, KRS, Big Daddy Kane, I can't even mention them all, it's just too many.
Let me ask you this, so why reggae music now? Is that part of your roots in music?
Well, I've always been an undercover revolutionary. I think, you know, and Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and all those guys were always big heroes of mine. And
stay on that mic for me.
Yeah, and I'd be playing music, and you know, those would be my guys. And I got a chance to one day hear Bob Marley, and Bob Marley was like Martin Luther King to me, but coming through
and
musically.
to Jamaica too. Bob Marley was Martin Luther King to Jamaica, if you want to keep it real.
Hey, Bob Marley was the man. I was like, what is he saying? You know what I mean? He's saying everything that I believe in, you know, and so I just packed up my bags and took my backpack and went to Jamaica and lived in Jamaica for about 6 or 7 months, just backpacking around, and I got a chance to hang and meet Bob Marley, and I played with Third World, and I went on tour with Steel Pulse. I played with Ross Michael. Cause see, I play piano, so once them reggae cats knew that I can play piano, it was on all the way to this day. So, but I was like, no, wait a minute. You love Jamaican music, but you also a John Coltrane advocate, and George Benson, and Kenny Burrell, and Miles Davis, and you know everybody, Jimi Hendrix. So you're not just a reggae guy, you know what I mean? You I don't know, you're an American musician.
A universal musician.
Yeah, universal musician. So I said, well, I'm not a Jamaican. As much as I love all my Jamaican homeboys, big up to all you guys out there, Shaka Man and everybody, Redemption and everybody. I love all you guys, you know that. And Boss Skank and Ricky G, everybody out there who's helped me to just go along in this world and this music. You guys know. And so...
Let me do this. Hold that thought, because we've got a very patient caller who has joined us on the line. Caller, thanks for being so patient and holding on. What is your name and where you're calling from? Caller, we know you're there. We can see you. Caller, are you there? Okay, they're gone. Let's get back to you, Kebade.
Oh, yeah?
So you've moved on to reggae, or are you still working in jazz and hip-hop as well?
She and I also talked about this. You know what I mean? I said I played this, and I played that, and I played this kind of music, and I played with Charles Owens and Reggie Andrews and Patrice Rushen and Ndugu, all those players, you know what I mean? We came up in the Reggie Andrew Orchestra. You know, that was from Watts Locke High School, and a lot of great musicians came through there. Earth, Wind & Fire's horn sections and all of it.
We've had Verdine White in that very seat there. Carmen sat right there. Verdine did. That caller is back. Let me get to that caller. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from? Thanks for calling. Speak on it.
Hey, this is Ruben Jacobs calling in.
Ruben Jacobs, he is one of our official sponsors of LA Talk Live and Speak on It. Ruben is one of the members and organizers of an incredible organization called NOMA, the National Organization of Minority Architects. Ruben, thanks for joining us on the show, man.
Hey, thank you for having me again.
Let me take a side step right here to talk to Ruben. Again, Ruben's got a great event that's going on through the month of August. It's NOMA's summer camp. And tell us a little bit about the camp. It starts tomorrow. It's August 1st, 8th, and 15th. You're going to be gathering together young minority kids, boys and girls, 10 through 16, to teach them about opportunities in the field of architecture and its ancillary careers. Let's talk a little bit about that, catch up with you on how things are going with that camp. I know you guys are starting tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, so
well,
speak on it.
You know, we're blessed that it's exploded this year. This is our 6th annual camp. As Richard just stated, the National Organization of Minority Architects is an organization that is across the country with nearly 24 chapters, mainly in the South and in the East. But we're holding it down here on the West Coast, predominantly with the San Francisco and LA chapter. But one of the major initiatives for the organization nationwide is a thing called Project Pipeline, where we're really trying to make our youth aware of, as Richard said, architecture and ancillary fields, because there's very few of us in it, very few of us that know about it. And so if you look at the numbers, there are 120,000 licensed architects in the country in totality, and only 1,800 of them are African American. And only 600 of that 1,800 are female.
Even fewer are women. That's right.
Several years ago, we made it a initiative across all the chapters to try and start to put together camps that would just introduce our youth to architecture, civil engineering, and the like. And so the Southern California chapter, SoCal NOMA, started 6 years ago. So this is our 6th annual one. We started with probably about 20 or 30, and that was on average what we had or have had. This year we are up to nearly 95 students. Wow.
Wow, congratulations on that, man. I know you guys were working real hard this year to get your enrollment up, and I'm so glad to see people have responded to it in the way they have.
Help with that. So we do want to thank you. And as I told Richard, what we didn't really talk about in the couple of times I was there is to make sure this time I made people know, being that this is internet radio and people are all over the country, let alone the world, listening to this.
That's right.
That we have, as I said, nearly 24 chapters, but the chapters that do have similar programs are, and I'll say it now, San Francisco, Cincinnati, Philly, Richard.
Philly in the house.
New Orleans, New York, New Jersey, as well as Washington, D.C. Actually, the D.C. one I know is starting next Wednesday and going through Friday the 7th. And there's a couple of slots available. But I will say this for everybody listening so they know they could tune in or go to our website. The national website is www.noma.net. Through that, you could get in touch with any of the chapters and find out things that are local, because those are just the chapters that are having the summer camp. There are chapters in many other states. The local chapter is www.socalnoma.org. That's SOCAL NOMA, N like Nancy, OMA.org.
Now, if I could step in here for a moment, although this may seem like a non sequitur transition to bringing you in, aside from being the official sponsor of Speak On It and the LA Talk Live Broadcast Network, your father, we had hoped to have here join us tonight, who in fact is an incredible musician as well and has played, I understand, with Carmen Lundy on a few gigs, yes. Fred Jackson Jr., who we had hoped to have in studio with us tonight, but he, like Miss Lundy, stays on the road. So this is Fred Jackson Jr.'s son.
Oh. Well, let's clarify, it's actually son-in-law.
The son-in-law, my bad. I didn't know the in-law part mattered. What, are you about to get a divorce or something, pal? You're still a son. I'm only joking. Working on my comedy material all the time. Sorry, yeah. All right, but son-in-law of Fred Jackson Jr., who, again...
Hey there.
Very extensive background. Right. So this is why we asked him to come on. The concept really started with me, myself rather, and Ruben thinking of a show that we could get together on and talk about music for an episode, and we figured we'd do it on Speak On It, and then it all fell into place when Elizabeth hit me back, and then Kebade signed on, and it just that I didn't get in touch with Mr. Jackson Jr. in enough time for him to be here tonight, but he will be back, and we'd love to have you guys back as well.
Yeah, because he lives in town. So
but that's his daddy, Ruben's dad, his father-in-law.
Like the rich artist, if you will, as far as history. As I was just listening to the story of the gentleman there, I didn't get his name.
Kebade Brown.
That, yes, that followed the reggae and he was into that. As I told Richard, my father-in-law is a musician, sounds just like him, because he's probably played for nearly 50 years with, like you say, the beneficiary of playing with a whole host of people, from Lena Horne to Ray Charles to Earth, Wind and Fire, Justin Timberlake, Barry White. It goes on and on. It's interesting to be on the outside and look in to see that. But certainly being in the arts, I could understand, because when you are in the arts, be it architecture or music, it's not really a solo thing, even if it looks like that, because you're with people that help your take, let alone your pieces of art, evolve. no building gets done by one person, and no piece of music typically gets done by one person.
Unless your name is Prince.
Maybe.
Hey, listen, we got to get back to the show. Let's give another plug for the SoCal Summer Camp 2015.
Yeah,
Architecture and Engineering Summer Camp.
It is the next 3 Saturdays, including tomorrow, at Southwest College, who is hosting it and partnering with us, hopefully for years to come. It'll be in the Technical Arts Building, so it is too late to register. But as Richard and I said, it would really be a great opportunity. Some parents might want to come down and take a look and see what's going on, so that next year you can plug in. In short, we just introduce them to architecture, engineering, interior design, urban planning, and start to plant the seed on how buildings are done, how cities are planned, and start to see all the different professions and careers that could be within that. Because architects and engineers are problem solvers and thinkers, and we just want to start to peel back and introduce that creativity to kids. And as Peabody said, it's the same thing. He was in the 7th grade and got turned on to music. We're not trying to make everybody architects, but we want to introduce it to everybody. So for those that the light comes on and are really motivated by this, they will at least know about it. I don't mind if you don't get into it, but it's pretty sad when you say, I don't know what it is. So within 3 weeks, we're just exposing you to it. That's all it is. We don't want to push you to have to go that way, but for 3 Saturdays, you'll really learn what it's about, and I think everybody should know about it, because even if you're not going to get into the field, if you're going to be a restaurateur, you're going to hire an architect to do that killer restaurant. If you're a musician, somebody's got to design your studio and everything else. So, knowing how the fields work and having an appreciation for that is something everybody should be enlightened on, and that's what we're trying to do.
And you're doing a fine job, man. Thank you for joining us tonight. I want to see if we can get you to tap into the station tomorrow as we go into our lineup of shows and see if we can get a live report from the summer camp.
Yes, well, we're going on a field trip in the afternoon. The camp is all day, those 3 Saturdays. And when I say all day, you can look at 8:30 to 4, basically. But tomorrow we have a field trip from about noon to 5, and we'll be going to the Getty Center off the 405 and showing the kids that.
Part of what the kids,
other than that, we'll be there.
Part of what the kids are going to experience is that, field trip to an architectural icon. So, as always, man, thank you. Great work with that. I want to hear from you guys for the next 3 Saturdays as the camp goes on, and find out how things are moving along with the camp and how the kids are enjoying themselves, and maybe have the kids join us on the
I don't know if you have an opportunity, Richard, but maybe you could come down. We'll talk about it, but perhaps you could come down week 3 when you'll see kind of some tangible models, because we teach them how to build models, and they're actually going to be doing buildings that will be put in an overall cityscape. So all of their projects will be put into a small city, and you really see the outcome of what they do.
The built environment provided by SoCal NOMA Architecture Engineering Summer Camp 2015, August 1st, 8th, and 15th. Stay tuned for more details. Thanks again, Ruben, for joining us on the mic. And be sure to tell.
Thank you for having me.
Be sure to tell your father-in-law that yes, Miss Lundy did grace our studio along with Kebade Brown, and that we're gonna see if we can get her to come back and reunite these two live on the air here on LA Talk Live.
Get them back together, because that was ironic. I saw Miss Lundy with my father-in-law at the Disney Concert Hall several years ago.
All right. Carmen's been so busy, man. I tell you, she stays on the road. Okay, we got to go. Thank you very much once again for calling in, Ruben. We'll talk back soon. Once again, SoCal NOMA Summer Camp 2015, August 1st, 8th, and 15th. Tell your father-in-law we said hello, and look forward to seeing him in the studio soon. Okay? All right, good deal.
Peabody, you take care.
Thank you very much.
All right, so we're going to take another quick break. When we come back, we're going to finish up with Kebade here, but in the final moments of the show, We got Elizabeth Wee, who was here with us as well, and she's actually the CEO and founder of the record company that's promoting Miss Lundy's music, and we want to get some words in with her. And also, as it turns out, Miss Lundy's quite the painter and artist. So we're going to be talking about a little bit of that, too, after the break. It's Speak On It. I'm Richard Carr, Carmen Lundy, Elizabeth Wee, and the beautiful, beautiful music of Carmen Lundy, and also the dynamic Kebade Brown in the background. Nothing But Love from his new release. We'll be right back. Check it out.
Love will pick you up and never tear you apart. Sweet love, just where to start. We're just spirits passing through life, trying to learn what's wrong and what's right. Love is everything, 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 everything. Some people don't know what I mean.
We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Do you or does someone you know have sickle cell disease? Have you heard about the EPIC study? It's an international research study evaluating an investigational drug aimed at shortening the duration of painful crisis. And with over 50 sites in the US, there may be a site near you. To learn more and to find out if the EPIC study is right for you, visit www.theepicstudy.com.
Exactly 25 years ago, the United States welcomed 54 million individuals with disabilities into the workforce. And today, even more opportunities exist.
Hi, my name is Danjamar Cooper, and I specialize in job placement for individuals with disabilities. I advise on laws, employee rights, and regulations for disabled workers. Meet Rick and Amber Boggs, a visually impaired couple who don't allow their disability to overcome their drive to create jobs for the community.
Dan Juma has been an integral part of our business success, and I believe he is an asset to any business or individual.
Together we can empower your community and enrich your business. So remember, when it comes to making your business work, make the change today. The Disability Awareness Experts.
Side of where the rich folks live. My mother was brave, she made 7 souls, 4 little girls and 3 little boys. My father was there for a little while, the king of the castle, the regent's pride. Working hard all day, we fight and pray just to get by. Doing what you're told, don't even think to ask the reason why. It's the way you play the game, not if you win or lose. Failure's not an option, never tell a lie. You can't prove it's the truth. You'll never get to heaven. The summer days and the lazy afternoons, the lessons learned Sunday school, midnight jams when the music played on and on. Count your blessings one by one. One comes around, goes around, and plenty of something is better than none.
All right, folks, welcome back to a very special episode tonight here on Speak On It with the multi-talented Carmen Lundy. If you're just tuning in and you're looking at some of this beautiful artwork that's displaying on our site as we broadcast through our video, that's actually some of her amazing artwork. So beyond the music, beyond the incredible vocals, beyond the incredible songwriting, Miss Lundy is quite the artist. I gotta tell you, man, you should submit some of this to Blue Note if they're still using cool album art for her Blue Note music, or at least on your own.
They know where to find me.
All right, then. I'll put them in touch with you. They better. Wow, yeah. Great stuff. I particularly love this one, and this is playing in delay a little bit. That's what the audience sees, but I'm pulling up one called Slave Quarters, which I really, really dig. It almost fits the song. Let me play this a little bit more. This is Kindred Spirits from the new album, Soul to Soul. Check it out.
Oh, yeah. I love it. I love it.
And there's that new album. We're putting the album cover up right now. Now, we've got to take some time for this young lady who really put it all together for us here to get Carmen up in the studio with us. And I'm so happy that we finally had a chance to meet. I was pretty titillated, I got to say, when I talked to her. And I know she could feel my passion, so she did everything she could to make all this happen for tonight.
You're right about that.
Yep. And so I want to welcome to the microphone finally the beautiful Elizabeth
Ooey. Ooey. It's like ooey baby.
Okay. Ooey. Welcome to the microphone, Elizabeth. Indeed.
Thank you.
Again, in the background, Kindred Spirits, the first track from the new CD, Soul to Soul. You know, I talk about this a lot when it comes to the artist. There are 13 tracks on this CD. Who does that anymore in the singles world, right? Everybody's making singles. Hey, I can prove it to you. Here's the back of the CD. Look at all these tracks on this CD. It's your money's worth, in other words, you know? So you put in a lot of work for this.
We even had to cut it down by a couple of tracks because, Carmen was a monster in the studio. Yeah, couldn't stop her.
All right, so Elizabeth, a little bit about you now. Tell us about your company, your record label, all that good stuff, because you know I'm going to ask you the inevitable question: how in the world did you get so blessed to meet Carmen Lundy? Of course, you're very talented, and talent attracts talent. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, the label came out of the need to house Carmen Lundy's catalog. It's really that simple. So I was familiar, of course, and aware of her extensive body of work, and I think at the time that we met, she was just about to leave the label that she was on, a Canadian label called Just in Time, and was looking for other options. Of course, being a writer and a very prolific one, you know, the question of publishing always comes up with labels and that sort of thing. So, you know, I know as a musician myself that you know, having your own publishing, retaining your own songs, is really important, and it's kind of the lifeline, the lifeblood of any musician.
Well,
so,
as we say in the hood, pump the brakes. You didn't tell me you too are a musician.
Oh,
maybe I forgot.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of behind the scenes now. I know. I let the performance.
Would you like to talk about it just a little bit? What, you play instruments and everything.
I had a little life as an opera singer way back in the day. So yeah, so that was my world, and it was interesting that that when I met Carmen, you know, she also came from that world. So we had a lot in common. Kind of like all three of us, I think, in various ways. But yeah, when I met
Kindred Spirits, perhaps.
Kindred Spirits, yeah,
Kindred
Spirits.
Yeah.
Let me ask you how you came across Carmen's music, because lo and behold, you have a opera background. I do not, quite obviously, but I just felt the power of her music through her voice and felt that opera piece to it. And I discovered tonight, lo and behold, she does have that background. Is that what drew you to her music, maybe?
Yes, and kind of like you, I you know, I'll use your word, because I in your term I would consider myself a musicologist as well. I mean, opera was my training, but jazz is actually where my heart and soul lived. And then I also, you know, love all sorts of other genres and styles of music. So I was listening to everything, and I lived in New York. I'm originally from New York, so I became familiar with Carmen Lundy in New York in the, I guess, early to mid '80s, and we have since discovered that we have probably been in the same places at the same time without actually knowing each other at that time. So my other work is producing for a large production music library. So the way we met, then I'll kind of cut it short, is right after 9/11, when the music library was looking for a lot of patriotic music for use in documentary and then, you know, any number of things. So I was looking to create and produce a patriotic album that included some vocals, because we had a lot of instrumentals at the time. So the then new president of the distribution company that distributes my library asked me if I had found a vocalist, and I said, no, not yet, I'm still looking. And he said, I think I have just the right person for you. And he mentioned Carmen Lundy, and I said, oh my God, if I can get Carmen Lundy to contribute to the library, that would be amazing. So he put us in touch, and the rest is history. That was in October of 2001.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the record business. The record store is gone. It's all online.
I really miss it.
Yeah.
I spend a lot of time at Amoeba, the one that's left.
Yeah. And I've said to many artists, including Kebade and I had this conversation when he signed up for our artist development program, that it's one thing to have your music in the record store, as my mama used to call it, the record store. It's a whole other thing to drive the traffic to go buy it, right? How does that happen? Well, it's got to be driven through radio. It has been traditionally. You hear it on the air first, and lo and behold, you're at the record store, right?
Right.
So, but how do you do that nowadays when there aren't any record stores? And even if there are, it's so hard for artists to get their music played on traditional terrestrial type radio.
Yep.
People have looked at internet radio as a good thing and a bad thing. Good thing when it's getting your music out, bad thing if it's the wrong internet-based radio station who aren't paying music licensing. In case you don't know, we are ASCAP, BMI, CSAC, SOCAN, and Sound Exchange authorized, meaning that I have to pay to play this music, and that's the way it's supposed to be. The 1998 DMCA Act made it all legal. But without the support of radio, how does an artist, build good traction and traffic to the music purchasing nowadays?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. It's tough. There's no doubt about it. I mean, first of all, the whole music scene is just so crowded and overcrowded, and and the cream doesn't necessarily rise to the top, in this day and age. So it is really tough, to get the good music out there, played, and then if you're dealing with kind of the smaller genres like jazz, it's even tougher because there isn't that radio support that there is for certainly pop and hip hop and some of the other genres that are out there. So yeah, it's not easy. Social media is clearly the thing to do, and the way to get yourself heard and promote your product.
And live performance, don't you think?
Live performance for sure, but that's not an easy path either.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of clubs don't have music. Like, when we were younger, there were way more clubs and venues to play at. Nowadays, it's really, skimmed down.
Yeah.
So we have to, we're in a dilemma.
May I ask
we are in a dilemma, and then the audience, unfortunately, is they're kind of the victims and the perpetrators, because we try to engage the audience, but often our audiences, they have attention spans of a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
Right.
So to kind of get them interested and staying interested is difficult.
That was kind of my remark about singles. Nobody makes albums or CDs with more than everybody's putting out singles, because that's the typical attention span.
Yeah.
But that generally and almost often applies to the junk music. It's like disposable music nowadays. My Anaconda don't. Now, that was the hottest thing that Nicki Minaj put out, My Anaconda Don't Want, whatever, a remake of another hip-hop song from way back, but it came and went, right? And that's all disposable music, or like junk food music. So most often, that does apply to this, again, disposable, short attention span age. But again, when you look at music and music sales, again, I'm on the other side of it. I'm the consumer. I have to wonder that the people with disposable income would buy into Carmen's music and Kebade's music as opposed to the kids, because they don't got no money but their mother and father's money anyway. And, so it would seem that there would be, with the longevity of artists like Carmen and Kebade, that there would be stronger record sales and stuff like that, especially when you can buy a true album when you're talking about these artists. So the attention span thing almost always applies to me. It seems to young people, and that disposable,
Yeah.
short.
And, a good deal of the record buying public is not actually buying records. They're buying, or they're paying for downloads.
Right.
Right.
So, everything is being downloaded, and you're hearing it, through headphones, through
little bitty small radios.
Little bitty, exactly. Little bitty small
Android
speakers.
phones,
And
right.
exactly.
Yeah, so the quality of the sound of the music doesn't impact you the way
That's
it
a very
once
good
did.
point.
And you really almost don't feel that impact of the music unless you're listening to it live.
That's
And
right.
I think that's what the younger people aren't quite understanding, is that for as much as they can, utilize whatever the electronic facilities are to, enhance their listening experience, nothing beats sitting in the room
Absolutely.
and
No.
feeling
Yeah.
it. I
Yeah.
think you really develop an appreciation for what it takes to play music. When you check out the way somebody is holding down a beat, holding down a groove, or taking the solo, and you see what it takes to be able to just say that. I mean, these are the things that I think we take for granted because we think it's all in the computer and you push a button and you
That's
got
right.
this loop and that loop. I mean, you've got to remember that it's just as intangible as you're taking your check to the bank and it coming out cash. You
Right.
know? The music is like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Real music, the real experience has to do with that cash money. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and check this
So-
out. I'm here, the three of us, the four of us, are sitting here, and we're actually listening to each other's music at the same time. And that's something that doesn't happen much anymore unless
know.
you're
Right.
in a live concert situation.
Yeah.
But, everyone is on their own personal headphones, or their own personal device, listening to their own personal music and not sharing it with anybody. And that's why, live concerts, live performances still so important, for not only the artists, but for listeners.
For the
to-
youngsters too. I took my daughter with me to a summer jam, and they, Snoop Dogg and everybody
Yeah.
was there, and I had all my kids. I'm, doing the father thing, exposing them to the music, and they said, "We want you to wait around because we got a very special guest for you." And they said, "Stevie Wonder." So I was like, we ain't going nowhere. We're going to stay here and listen to Stevie. So I had all four of my kids sit there with me, and we listened to Stevie, and Stevie sang. And
Closer
my
to your
youngest
mic, Kebade.
daughter,
Closer to your mic, please.
and my youngest daughter, after she finished, she said, "I've never heard no one sing that good before." And
Wow.
that's because she hadn't heard it coming live.
music.
Like, I mean,
That's
she
right.
just Stevie was just blowing anyway. He always blows.
Yeah.
But she was just like so elated over Stevie that day, and that's all what we're talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
So let me ask this question next. When it comes to an artist's survivability in this crazy market, the single downloads, and I don't care what artist, what level you're on, you got to put your stuff up on iTunes, right? Music
Yep.
store. Got to put your stuff up on Reverb Nation.
Amazon, all
Yeah,
that stuff.
you gotta,
Yep.
yeah, all of that stuff. But for an artist to survive, you're not making money there.
No.
It really still is the tour.
Nowadays, especially, I guess.
Yeah, and
'Cause it ain't
and
the
the
record
publishing.
sales,
so
obviously.
in
Okay.
the case of Carmen Lundy, who writes all of her
Prolifically.
material for the most part, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I didn't start this record company to make money, because my timing was.
It's a passion project.
was
Is
all
that
right.
what you're telling me?
It's all love and passion for the
Your
music.
musicology, yeah.
And believing, in an artist like a Carmen Lundy. What she does is so honest and truthful and of such a high caliber that it can't be denied.
Right.
And for a record company to really do a Carmen Lundy justice, I've got to let her have it. you know, and it's my pleasure to do that, you know. So I'm content, you know, with just letting her get the music out there and being the vehicle for her to do that.
Carmen, I can see the wheels turning in your head. Would you like to speak to that a little bit?
Well, it's nice to hear Elizabeth speak from her perspective about her commitment to the work and what matters and what matters to her. What would be ideal would be if indeed you could make money with people like Carmen Lundy and Kebade. I mean, if we could just compete, I think that's another thing. I think if we could just I think this discussion is really important to just get us all thinking and talking openly about what we're seeing happening in the music now. I would say that if more of us really would take interest, as Elizabeth does, in the quality side of the music and the real honest statements going on, and not necessarily for entertainment value, not necessarily just to make money, but for the greater good of how we really advance our culture, our culture through the music. And I think we play a role in that. And Elizabeth's perspective is really important to what you said about letting me have it. You know, like you know, trusting that.
Right.
Whatever I got, you know, I'll bring you something that says something and it's will hold up and not be junk at the end of the day. You know, so I think it really is reassuring to listen. It's great to actually hear you speak from your perspective about what you see me doing and the other artists that have certainly given you all the information you have about those people who set themselves apart through their music and their artistic statement. And I'm encouraged by it.
Where's the industry headed? Where would you all weigh in? And
I think may I just say that I really think that we need to have our listeners understand and appreciate that this is not, you know, you get a copy of my music, don't burn it. Don't burn the CD and give it to your friend.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Words, yeah.
You know, you've got to understand that this is our craft, and you put in your, you know, solid 8-12 hours a day, you expect to be compensated for that. So this is not just because the music is in the air. I mean, we breathe air every day, but if we mess it up, you know, we're all going to choke to death, you know.
Right.
So I think that music is in the air, and it's and we have the sense that it's free because we can just turn it down and it's there for us. But the creative, the intellectual property, so I'm going to use that term again, the intellectual property is no different from the apartment property, or you know, the gentleman on the air talking about architecture.
It's all sweat equity.
This, you know, this is all an effort that is made, and we don't sing for free. You know, we'll do that to benefit, and that's our choice. But in general, we're supported by this, so we need you guys to really understand that you play a part in taking care of us too. We take care of you and help you to mark those days and important moments in your life through our song, through our expression, and that thing that you remember the first time you hear that song that stays with you forever. That's what our connection is. But it takes a lot. You know, we haven't even talked about the music education in this country. You know, and we need to make sure the kids understand what a major scale and a minor scale really is. Everybody knows what a beat is, but you got to put something on top of that beat. You know, even just a melody. So I think we don't really have place value on young people really understanding that music helps shape their lives, and has. We're not saying become musicians. You know, we're just saying that maybe this whole connection of your appreciating what we do helps you to grow and become the person you dream to be, whatever that is. And we play a role in that. So just know that it ain't necessarily free to express yourself. Yeah. But, you know, we're not asking you, buy our music, go out there and support us and come to the gigs and applaud, you know, and ask for more. But, you know, you had to, the price of that ticket means something, right?
Well, I wanted two things here. First of all, let's draw the connections. Yourself and Kebade, both ironically starting in music at 6. You, like many others, great artists, through the church, right? Maybe Kebade did right through the church, right? There was at least that level of music education that would start a kid even at the home, and then that could spin out into the classroom once they found the music teacher and found a music class and build a career from that, or at least learn to appreciate music. So that we don't have that music education component. It's not just missing from the schools. Hey, parents, if you're out there and you have a musically inclined child, go down to the Guitar Center and buy a little cheap guitar for him.
Right.
Yeah.
Get him a little set of bongos.
Yeah.
Get him a little toy guitar, something that they can make some music on. What happened to the good old days when parents would let the kids just pull the pans out the cupboards and bang on them? You don't see that much anymore either.
At least you know where your kids are. You
That's
know what
right.
they're
Yeah,
doing.
too.
And I did a lot of that. I banged on pots and pans and tops to trash cans, everything.
But it seems we lost that whole connection, not just in the school, but also in the home, because how many homes do you go into nowadays and even see a stack of albums or records?
Yeah, it's
right.
game
No,
That
it's
alone,
not the same
right?
anymore.
Yeah.
The other thing that I wanted to talk about is for artists out there. You said it's tough to get your music played. Is your music being played somewhere? I'll ask.
Thankfully, yes.
Yeah,
I
good.
mean, yeah. So certainly all of the jazz radio stations
Right.
that are out there across the country and around the world, the UK and
South Africa.
South Africa. I mean, they're definitely supporters of jazz and of Carmen Lundy.
As
so
we shall too.
Yeah, exactly. So
Right.
the music is being played and it's out there, and that there's. Part of my job is to make sure that it's out there, and
That's a good job, though.
Yeah.
I need
Exactly.
someone to make sure, because
Yeah.
I'm a laboratician. I'm in the laboratory. I hear a beat, a sound,
Stay on your
a
microphone,
melody.
Kebade.
I hear a melody or whatever have you, and I can just go right to the studio and start working on it. And before you know it, you spend a lot of time in the studio. You know what I mean? You don't get a chance to be the promoter, the producer, the record executive, and all those kind of things. So for her to have someone like you in her corner working on that, that's outstanding, and I applaud you for that.
It is indeed.
And I applaud you for that.
I take from this, part of what I will take away from this is it seems like the CD burner did more damage to the music industry than Napster or anybody else. For that matter, the dual deck tape recorder.
Right.
I'm talking about the cassette tape recorder. Probably did a lot of damage because, of course, we all dubbed our own music in those days.
Oh, yeah.
The idea of dubbing and dub tape comes from that concept. But yeah, I think the CD burner probably has done more harm than good. And the funny thing is I think what made that occur to me is, let's say Kebade is my best friend, and he's got the latest Carmen Lundy CD or even the album, the wax. The hardest thing to do would be to ask somebody if you could borrow their CD or album. Like, hell no.
No, because you didn't want to get it back scratched. Right.
That's
So,
true.
So that forced everybody to go out and buy that album and that CD.
That's true.
That's right.
That was the question. Did you get the latest Carmen Lundy album? Did you get the latest Kebade album?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I got it too, because you couldn't borrow it.
Yep.
That's true.
Maybe it was the dual cassette tape that destroyed the music industry.
Yeah. But what is fun is that vinyl, is coming back.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah, I've heard.
It's coming back.
Yeah, so
How about
Carmen's
that?
last 2 records are now.
Can I suggest
vinyl.
something to you? There is a documentary out on Hulu by a company called Stone's Throw Records. Did you see it yet?
No.
My Vinyl
No.
Weighs a Ton.
Ah, okay.
That's the name of
Sounds
the
good.
documentary.
Yeah.
Wow.
My Vinyl Weighs a Ton. Go check it out. It's on Hulu. If you got a Hulu
great.
account, an incredible documentary about the founder of Stone's Throw, named Peter Butter Wolf.
Okay.
What a name, right? But he, a DJ and then a musician for a while, and then started this incredible record label, mostly hip hop and underground and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But
I think
just
I
an
may have
interesting.
mentioned Percy P. on
Percy
Stone's
P,
Throw
exactly.
has sampled Carmen.
Yeah, sampled one of my tunes.
Tell me
yeah.
that. I forgot
My
about
voice,
that.
yeah.
Well, a person like myself.
You need his number?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
After being in the music business this long, and going through different changes, I taught school and music classes for handicapped kids also, in the process of still surviving and being able to keep the music, the art going. You and I have talked about it, and the future and the direction of where the music is going lies here within the studio, you know what I mean, and the internet, radio, and the hypers.
I appreciate you saying
It
that.
has to come through some kind of way, and right now we're
Absolutely.
trying to figure, which way it's going to go, but we have to stick close and work hard in this arena of how record sales and everything is going to be distributed to people so that we can bring it back. Because right now it's just out there, and I knew when they started dubbing CDs that it was going to be some trouble. I already knew that was coming.
Yeah. CD burner destroyed the
so
music
I already knew
business.
that was some trouble.
Wow, believe it or not, that's 90 minutes, and you ladies have been incredibly patient. You as well, Kebade. Thank you all so much for joining me here tonight. I want to give out some last details. I'll swing it to you, Elizabeth. Where and when can people see and enjoy the music of Carmen Lundy live?
Let's see. The first one coming up is Richmond, Virginia, Richmond Jazz Festival, August 8 and 9. September, Labor Day, September 9th, or what is that?
4th.
Okay. So on Labor Day itself,
yeah, that's
is
Monday the 7th.
Is the Detroit Jazz Festival.
Jazz Festival. Watts Towers here locally, Watts Towers Jazz Festival on September 27.
I'd love to be
So
a
check
part of
that out. Yeah, and that's it's a great time. So September 27, Watts Towers Jazz Festival. Dizzy's Club in New York is September 18 through 20, 3 nights there.
Full itinerary.
Yeah. Then October we head to Europe. So if you find yourself in Istanbul,
and then I think we'll be in D.C. in November at the Kennedy Center.
Yes, the Kennedy Center in D.C. November.
Hey,
Back
listen,
to the website. www.carmenlundy.com. CarmenLundy.com. Simple. All of her dates are there, and lots of other videos and photos and lots of other great information.
Got the new CD out. Got
Soul
me a
to
copy.
soul.
Soul to soul.
Remind me of
Love
Roberta
this.
Flack things.
Yeah, man. Very, very beautiful. Sister, you ain't aged a bit. You looking mighty nice these days, I got to tell you. Wow.
Thank you.
Miss Lundy, Carmen, if I may, some final words for our audience out there. First of all, did you have a nice time?
Oh, this has been wonderful. I'm happy to be at home in L.A. and get in my car and come and talk to you about the beauty of this love and that I have for music, and to share it with other people in the room, including yourself. This is beautiful. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Yeah, thank you too, because I mean, without you, and there wouldn't be this.
Right.
Yes.
I'm very passionate, as you know, about the music, and one of the main things we do with this, that I had the opportunity to do with this platform, is really get the music out there. Again, I support the artists. We support the artists very strongly here. And it's all about getting you in here
gonna grow. It's
and
gonna
drilling
grow.
down. Yeah, we're going on 6 years as a radio network.
Good for you.
And radio and the TV part, because wave to your family and them. So we're keeping it strong. I mean, again, we're licensed to get the music out there, help the artists earn some royalties. That's something I really wanted to talk about tonight when it comes to radio royalties. We'll talk about that another time.
We'll have to
I'd love
put out
to get
another
you back.
show.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's another 2 hours.
Right. But I want to thank you so much, Carmen Lundy, for joining me here. You're not going to be this, but you made a dream come true. You really did for me. And again, as a musicologist and as a consumer and a fan and all that stuff, to meet someone whose music just blows you away like yours does. Please forgive me for crying at the beginning of the show, like
That's okay. That's passion.
But man,
I'm
it
glad
just
my
really,
music moves you.
I'm really glad I pulled it all together. Kebade Brown, man.
Yeah.
Listen to him on a daily basis, every day from about noon until is when your music is in rotation.
I'm gonna listen.
In a little something called Listener's Choice, which is one of our A to Z music mixes.
Oh, great.
And Kebade's one of our featured artists. We feature his music on a daily basis. So
that's really good.
All through the night for the folks who are overseas. We really, through the internet, are exposed to over 150 countries. We are on 10 different digital internet networks, including iTunes Radio, Live 365, TuneIn Radio, AHA Radio, TiVo, Apple TV, Roku, and there's one other, Radio Flag, that I forgot about. And then, of course, is our network.
Right.
And then all those clocks represent the URLs that we own in all those other cities. So we're not just LA Talk Live, but we're AtlantaTalkLive.com, ChicagoTalkLive.com, New York, Washington, New Orleans, Miami. The list goes on. We got all those URLs, portals where people can come and listen and watch us. But not just us. See this union of artists, this effort to get the artist's music out there, and most importantly, get that artist compensated.
I'd like to say this before we go real quick, Rich, and this is kind of like important. A couple years ago, I was diagnosed with colon tumor and they told me I had 9 days to live.
Wow.
And And he said, you have 7% chance to live. And I said, well, I'm usually number 1, so 7, I got a big, that's still a lot of room
That's
for
6
me.
more.
Right. So I was sitting there and I was laying in the bed and I was like, you know, I've given this world everything I did. I didn't get a chance to make it millionaires like a lot of my students. A lot of my students are millionaires, and I didn't get a chance to do that. But what I did do was I gave the world as much love as I could give, and as much love as I could give my kids, and they're all outstanding children now. You know, I have a professional tennis player, a high fashion model. My son's in Japan right now modeling some sandals, and he did a Nissan commercial. My oldest son is a producer just like myself. And I came up with the song, I've given you everything, and I don't have anything else to give you but love.
Nothing but love.
Nothing but love. And that song has had over 600,000 hits on Facebook already.
Excellent.
And
Great.
so what I wanted to say is I formed a cancer research nonprofit organization since then, and this is for all you listeners way out there in radio land, all over 9 million listeners in all those different clock zones, that I'm donating a percentage of all the downloads that you download on my record, Nothing But Love, or Three Kind of People, or Desperado. I'm donating a percentage of that to cancer research. So it's very important that we work to each other and we spread love all over the world, and that's what my goal is. And that's my daughter right there on the front. I used her as part. I was like, I have to pull my daughter in too, because she's an artist and they're all artists. So it's very important that you get out there and you can download Nothing But Love or any of those for $1, or the whole album for $10, and you will be really, really, really helping the cause and my cause for keeping the music alive and going. And all I can say is that you can't do it alone. You do it with the help of God.
That's right.
And that's the only way that you can do it, and it's more mental. You can't give up. You have to fight. You have to fight, fight, fight. So all those out there who are struggling what I struggled through, I made it.
That's
and I'm a survivor. So I need all you guys to do the same thing. So if you get a chance to get out there and listen to my record and get it, it would be greatly appreciated by people who love you and are willing to accept your love. Thank you very much.
And you can hear it right here on LA Talk Live, the world leader in internet broadcast. That's Kebade Brown. We're going to wrap the show out with that as well. And thank all of you for coming here tonight. I hope you had a wonderful time. I know I sure did.
So did I.
Thank
Man.
you.
And I hope to a large degree, especially between Elizabeth and you, Carmen, that I've helped, because Carrie has been here before. Kebade's been here before. He's part of our program, our artist development program. I hope to have exposed to you ladies a whole nother side of the music business and the broadcast business. There's nobody behind the scenes here pulling any strings, just me and the people that you see who come here and support this. We got a bunch of shows, a bunch of broadcasters, all good folk. This is a platform where the artists can really take control of their distribution when it comes to radio beyond the traditional sense. See, if you're on a radio station here, they've got to syndicate you around to these other terrestrial radio stations. When we play your music here, it's instantaneously global.
Right.
So I hope to have exposed to you or shown you a whole nother platform in another way, and we are here to service and help you as well. So you just let me know whatever we can do.
Israel.
I got you, Mama.
And Japan and all those other countries that just like listening to my music like crazy. I need all you American people out there also to listen to it like crazy, because they're loving it. They're in South Africa and just all over Australia, and I've got, like I said, 600,000 hits and almost like 8,000 or 9,000 fans in less than a month or something. So it's like I've never, through my opportunity, I played on gold records and I've helped people and I produced them, but this is the first time I put my song out and it's getting this kind of reception. So I'm overjoyed and overwhelmed, and I just want to let everyone know thank you very much for everything.
Kebade. Thank you as well. Thank you, Carmen. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
You never did give out the name of your record company. Give us that, the record label.
Afrasia Productions.
Afrasia Productions. What's the website?
AfrasiaProductions.com.
Okay, there you go. Go to AfrasiaProductions.com, CarmenLundy.com for more details about her touring, and also Kebade Brown. His music's all over the place. Thank you once again, man.
Thank you.
God bless you. Have a good night, everybody. We'll replay this show a little later on, so stay tuned. You'll be able to watch this again and have some fun. And in the meantime and in between time, we'll see you next time. Have a great weekend, everybody. Be safe.
God bless.
We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.